Thank you for joining us today for the virtual Sunday service with the Center for Creative Living. CCL, a charter of the Universal Church of the Master, has served and supported the spiritual needs of its community here in the Bay Area for over 20 years.
I want to thank all the people here that have been mothers, or are still mothers, of course, or have been parents. You know, you don't have to be a mother to be a parent. And so, and for those of you who've done parenting, I really want to thank you and welcome you, because it's very difficult to raise children unless you feel that their energy is compatible with yours. And usually their energy is compatible until they reach about 12.
Yeah.
and your energy changes at that point. But welcome. Do we have any birthdays coming up this week for anybody? Oh, this group's just not getting any older, I can tell. We haven't had any birthdays for quite a while now. So, but if you have a birthday, we'd love to welcome you and thank you so very, very much. A lot of things are coming up. For those of you who are interested, the second Saturday on the Alameda. Amazing. All of the businesses get together and have either sales or they talk or demonstrations. Wow. A lot of excitement going on. And what hours are they? 3 to 6? Is that 3 to 6? And Chris is going to be over at the Visual Philosophy. I love that Visual Philosophy. And that is at 1065 the Alameda. And you can pick up one of these cards. John has them there at the desk. And so that's exciting. We're going to be looking forward to doing something also. So we're talking to Gabrielle about putting something together that we can have a booth that tells people about church. There's so many people in this area that have no idea there's a church going on here. Right. And Chris came in one day and he was amazed that there was not only a church, but a loving, kind, exciting church. And now he's a part of the loving and the kindness and everything else about it. And then I think he coerced his wife to come along too. And she coerced you. That's what it was. I knew there was some coercion going on.
That's the way it's done.
That's the way it's done.
Good job, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. And mentioning Rebecca, because it's Mother's Day, she made us cupcakes. Yeah. Some of them are lemon, some of them are chocolate. Okay. If you see a chocolate one with a big D on it, you know it's for me. Okay. But thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And we haven't talked about who's going to do the meditation. And so, Janet, do you mind doing the meditation with your beautiful guitar?
No, I don't mind at all.
Okay.
Does someone want to join with me and help me do it?
Well, I don't know. You have to ask.
Would anyone like to do it with me?
What do you want me to do? I'll do something. What do you want me to do?
Do the meditation.
You could do the meditation.
Okay.
And I'll follow you with music, and then I'll follow with the song.
I see.
Okay.
Are you up for it?
So I'm going to make stuff up.
You're going to make stuff up?
That's the way it works, Joan.
Okay, and while you're coming up here, you all got a thing about what's happening today, and it's Standing Women. And Standing Women is at 1 o'clock. And do we have flyers for it, Corky?
Yeah, it's on everybody that has a program. It's attached to the program. And also, I put it in the chat for the people that are on Zoom. They have a document in there that's called Standing Women PDF.
And so all around the world, this is Standing Women. And Annie, can you read it for the people at home?
Yes. You want me to read the declaration?
Yes, please.
Okay. We are standing for the world's children and grandchildren, and for the 7 generations beyond them. We dream of a world where all of our children have safe drinking water, clean air to breathe, and enough food to eat. A world where they have access to a basic education to develop their minds and health care to nurture their growing bodies. A world where they have warm, safe, and loving place to call home. A world where they don't live in fear of violence in their home, in their neighborhood, in their school, or in their world. This is the world of which we dream. This is the cause for which we stand.
So stand up at 1 o'clock and join this, and you can read your declaration and add whatever you want to it. Okay,
That is
we know that worldwide we can make change. And now we're going to welcome the Reverend Joan as she is called upon to do a meditation.
Come on, you can live here, okay?
Sure.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Did I give you enough room?
Yep.
Good.
So, as we come together on this very special day, we take a deep breath in and let it out slowly with all of our fears, with all of our concerns, with all of our current problems, challenges. They go away just with that breath. Let's go in again and out, refreshed and alive. On this very special Mother's Day, we know that as we visualize a good, solid, wonderful, creative, loving world, we are adding to the energy that allows that to happen. And as we visualize this and think about this, the sun breaks through the clouds. The sun breaks through the clouds. Just like new ideas break through into our minds as we breathe in and we breathe out and see a new world, a world of love and care, a world where mothers are honored for their work, and where children laugh and play freely and happily because they receive what they need. The sun breaks through the clouds as we visualize this, and we allow this sunshine to come down on the children, dancing and playing in the parks filled with green lawns, trees with heavy foliage, brooks running through the park, babbling with their crystal sound, and mothers watching them. And don't forget the grandmothers. The grandmothers are there, both seen and unseen. Seen and unseen. We invite all the grandmothers, and of course they have to have grandfathers, seen and unseen. On this very special day, we honor all the generations that come together to bring happiness and safety and care to these children. Our own thoughts, our own visualizations, our own dreams, our own meditations add to the possibility of this coming true for each child. The possibility of mothers and grandmothers and parents and fathers, uncles, aunts, everyone contributing to the health and welfare of these children, that they all be honored. And our thoughts, our meditations are adding to that energy and helping bring it about. Thank you, universe, for this idea that our thoughts can influence and bring so much good into the world. that our meditations can bring so much good into the world. Thank you, God. Thank you, universe. Amen and amen.
We dance on the streets, we wave to the sun, we let our souls free, and we honor you, all our mothers, for all that you bring to the world, and we hope deep in our heart you will know that we love you, and we hold you in this deep embrace. Our hearts are full of gratitude for all you do and for all you bring to this place. Oh, we dance and sing, and the children are growing into their own, into their power, into their grace. And it is the mother's love that brings us to the heart of all that we can be and all that we are. So let me rock you in my arms, let me reach you with my eyes, let me hold you with my love until you realize you are loved, held in the arms of the universe, and we are saved, saved, saved by our outreach to each other's hand. We are brought to this moment of mother love, oh mother love, that lives inside mother love, oh mother love, that surrounds us on all sides. So take this moment and breathe in this truth. We are one in our mother's love. We are one, we stand tall and know those places that are hurting. May they be filled with the golden light, and may you know you are the gift to this universe right now. Oh, mother love, oh, we sing by your side. Oh, mother love, you are our star in the sky, and we dance, dance, dance in this circle of love, this circle of love. Oh, we dance, dance, dance in your mother love.
Thank you, Reverend Joan. Thank you, Reverend Janet. Very good. Well, hope you all took a
blessing. Yep.
Feel that energy. Well, I'm going to be talking about mothers. Because one of the things about being a mother is you never know what's going to be happening in your life. As soon as you think you have something planned, something comes along. And, you know, real mothers often have sticky floors. They often have their plans completely changed. They're not sitting, eating quiche and drinking champagne. They're lucky if they get something to drink and something to eat sometimes during the day, depending on how many children they have. And real mothers sometimes don't care what the vacuum sucked up, they just cleaned the floor. And sometimes real mothers says, I love you best to one of the kids. And the others know they're loved too. Real mothers are amazing. They have stamina, they have patience, and they have love. How many people in here have had children or raised children? And anybody raised more than 3 kids? Yes. And how many children?
4.
Okay, come on, you get the Mother's Day rock. Because that's what mothers are. They are the rock.
Oh.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Because the mother is the rock of the family. And sometimes, like was said, it's not necessarily a female.
That's right.
It can be the male. Sometimes it's the oldest sibling, whatever their gender. It's always somebody, though, that it needs to give love, and needs to give help, and needs to give understanding to the kids. For me, I was the eldest of 10. And these were my regular brothers and sisters, meaning born of my mom and dad. Some of them, my dad married a woman who had children, and some of them, he and another woman had children. But I was always considered big sis. And even to this day, when I talk to one of my kids, they go, hey, big sis, how you doing? And one day, my brother, Bart, somebody said, oh, is that your mother? Because there was, 15 years between us. And he said, oh no, it's not my mother, she just thinks she is. It had been a difficult day. But it was so great to have all of these kids. And I didn't realize that I was going to have more children after I had my own 2. Until one day, we were living in an apartment complex, and next door I heard this sobbing, and it kept going on. And it was about 3:30 in the afternoon in the very beginning of June. And I walked next door, and I'm like that, and said, what's happening? And this young boy was sitting in a completely vacant apartment. He'd just gotten home from high school and his parents had moved and hadn't left any idea where they were.
Whoa.
And his sobs were that of, somebody, of a death. He had no idea what to do. And Ray was a kid that you all have seen. He had long, stringy hair. He was tall. His face had a lot of acne. He had a long black trench coat and shoes that didn't quite fit. And he slouched. And how many of you seen a kid that kind of looks like that? Mm-hmm. And that was Ray. And he said, I don't know what to do. He said, my stepdad never liked me, and he's always been mean, and my new little sister, who's just 2, I love her dearly, and my mom's had to put up with so much, but I never thought she'd leave me. So I said, we can come at our house. And so Ray moved in to the apartment, and when we moved to our house, he went with us. And I tried to figure out what I could do to support this young 17-year-old. And one day I watched him walking home from school. And he had entered his senior year, and with his hunched over, and just so sad. It was sadness incorporated. And when Ray came in, I said, Ray, I watched you walk. He goes, yeah. I said, well, you walk like you know where you're going. I said, with those long legs, he was 6'3", with those long legs, I bet you could run. He said, I don't know. I said, come on, let's go down to the track and I'll time you. Now, I know nothing about timing anybody. I've never run in my life, you know. So we went down. I said, come on, you can do it. You can do it. And my husband's with me. We're cheering. Come on, Ray. And he ran the track. And I looked at him and I said, you are so fast. I bet you could try out for track. And he said, oh, I don't know. I said, let's see. So I called the coach. I said, Coach, this is Mrs. Boon. He said, oh, no. He'd heard from me before. And I told him about Ray. He said, let's give him a try. Well, joining the track team, Ray started standing up straighter.
Yeah.
He had to cut his hair because the coach said, and he had to take a shower because the coach said. And this was the first time he'd had this male. Now this was the male doing parenting for us, of telling him how he needed to shape up. And I was so pleased when he graduated and he got a sweater, the varsity sweater for track.
God. Yes.
And he was so proud. And the day he came home from graduating, I said, I want to thank you very much, and I've got a surprise for you. And he said, what's that? And I'm going to cry, but that's okay. I said, I found your real father, and he's here.
Oh,
And his dad
wow.
was living in San Francisco and had not known where his son was for 12 years.
Wow.
And so he met his dad. His dad was a mechanic. And he said, come on with me, Ray. I want to teach you how to be a mechanic.
Wow.
And they said, okay. And when I heard from him later, he was having a very good time and had love in his life again.
Oh.
So that was my first, what you might call foster kid. I never got permission to have him in my house. He just moved in. And that started. From then on, it was kind of like there was a blinking light on my garage that said, lost children, please come here. And so I started taking in kids, and the next one was Kathy. And her brother said, Kathy's in juvenile hall. She tried to run away from home. And my parents say she can stay there until she's 18. Now this was in the 70s, very early 80s.
Right.
Where you said to the juvenile hall, take my kid, and they did.
Yep.
And they didn't really investigate, find out what the child had done, and off they went with the kid. And so I said, wait a minute, no kid at 15 needs to sit in juvenile hall. So they said, well, then you take her. And I said, okay. So this is the only child they signed temporary guardianship paper so I could have her. And when she came to me, she was so thrilled to have her own room. We had a center bedroom that every time a new kid moved in, they got to tell us, they got to say what color paint they wanted to paint it.
Wow.
That room was yellow, it was orange, it was pink, it was white, and one was black and white. That was really fun. One wall was black and the floor was a wooden floor, and we painted it with black and white geometric figures. And the closet doors, one was black and the other was white, and even the phone, I transferred out the receiver so the phone became black and white. And the kid was so excited about that. So each time and just imagine coming from a home where you weren't loved and appreciated and getting your own room.
And your own color.
And any color you wanted. And so Kathy stayed with us until she was about 17, and by then her parents had grown up. And that's what I found out, that mostly the parents were treating the kids like they were 7 or 9, maybe at most, and not realizing these were young adults. And so when they started talking to her, they only came over to my house twice in 3 years to see what she was doing. And so when they finally started talking to her, like, we'd love to have you come, you're such a beautiful young lady. Then I said, do you think it's time to go home? And she said, yeah, I think so. Well, the next kid I found, or came to me, was Cindy. Cindy was 15 and was sleeping in a car at the dump. Her parents had kicked her out when they found out she was having sex with her boyfriend. And here she is, 15, living in a car at the dump. And the way she survived was doing tricks. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing she could think of. And she felt she deserved only that, because that's all she knew. And so she came to live at our house. I found this girl to be so brilliant. We talked to the authorities, the school authorities, and she was able to take her GED at 16 and passed it the fastest of any kid they'd had. She went from there to community college, and then from there she got a full boat to Stanford. Here
Whoa.
she studied nursing, and then when she left, after she got married and had a child of her own, she opened up a home in Nevada for underprivileged boys, because she had a little boy. So she started in the dump, and her mind was so amazing. She's the one who grew. I just gave her, it's kind of like giving her the soil, like you're a plant, and you give them the soil to grow. And so I've had so many different kids that have come to me, and each time I'm surprised at the lack of parenting. You know, we're talking about mothers and we're talking about parenting, but I'm not the only one who has taken in kids and helped them grow. And so, like Peggy, when this young man came and said, I met this girl and she's sleeping on somebody's back porch. Her parents gave up on her, and she doesn't have any place to live. And I told her she could come here. Well, thank you, Rick. And Rick was the brother of Kathy, the first girl I talked about. And so Peggy came and lived with us, and it just kept growing. Where each one, one of the saddest one was a young man who my sister Sierra had found when she was in Des Moines. She was in a gay bar in Des Moines, and she saw this young kid peeking his head around from the storeroom. And she said to the bartender, "Who's that?" And they said, "Oh, that's Bruce. He didn't have any place to go, so we made him a pallet in the storeroom. He can't come into the bar, but he has a place to live." I said, "What happened to him?" He said, he went home and told his dad he was gay, and his father raped him.
Oh.
And he didn't have any place to go, so we gave him a place to go. And so my sister, Sierra, said, "I know where you'll be happy. Have you ever wanted to be in California?" He said, "I've always wanted to go to California." So he came to our house, and I said, "Hi, and what's your name?" And he said, "Oh, my name's Bruce, and I don't like it. It sounds too faggoty." And he said, "Well," I said, "Okay, we'll name you Ian. How's that?" And he said, "Ian, I like that." He had this blonde, blue-eyed young man, and he just loved to talk. And every time he would think about it, he'd bring me flowers. Whether he picked them or bought them, it didn't make any difference. He was so excited. And he got a job at Marriott, Great America. And he and Sierra were working at Great America. They were bringing home money. They were so excited about the job. And at that time, we lived just straight down Kylie, so it was easy. They rode bikes down there. And he tried out be a dancer in their show, and he got it. And so he got jobs traveling all around with a dance group. And then one day he called me, and he had been away from the house for probably a year. And by then he was 19. And he called me and said, "Dottie, I'm very sick. I have AIDS."
Oh.
And I never heard from Ian again. But it was one of those things that all of these are the people that were supposed to be raising these beautiful young people. I mean, it goes on. And people said to me, "Well, what do you do as a mother?" And I said, "I've got rules. When you move into my house, I have a set of rules, and everybody has to live by them. I have to live by them. Mm-hmm. My husband our kids had to, everybody had to live by these rules." And one of them, I need a tissue if somebody has one. All of a sudden I'm talking and my nose is running. And one of these rules was you can't leave the house without saying, "I love you, Mama Boon." And so, thank you, Janet, I got one. And so what happened is that the first time a kid came to our house, I'd say, "You can't leave the house till you say, 'I love you, Mama Boon.'" And they'd say, "Well, I've never said I love you, Mama, anyone." "I know, because I love you." And they go, "Oh." So the first week, "I love you, Mama Boon." "What'd you say?" "I love you, Mama Boon." "Okay." And after they were there 3 weeks, just almost on the dot, they'd go, say, "I love you, Mama Boon, and I'm going to the park." "Okay, I love you too." They had never thought of hearing those words, I love you. And it changed their whole life. And the list goes on. All in all, I had 8 kids that came and lived in my house. And each child came from a time of what went wrong in their house. And most of the time, it wasn't the mother, it was the lack of parenting. And so I decided that I wanted to give talk and lectures about parenting, and I did that for a long time. And it's not that difficult. But each parent I talked to said, well, they can't do X, whatever. I said, ask them why they want it. And so I can't talk about that. Ask them why they want to smoke dope. Ask them why they want to use drugs. Ask them why they want to get drunk. Ask them. Open up the conversation. Oh no. Ask them why they want to have sex. Oh, you can't talk to kids about that. Yes, you can. Ask them if they think they're gay. Ask them what. Just ask them. But if you planted that soil I was talking about, as a parent, you'll be amazed when they start trusting you what you're going to hear. Sometimes it's not at all what you ever thought you wanted to hear, but you don't go, oh my God, you go, isn't that interesting? Or my favorite word, okay. Okay. Whatever it is, it's okay, because this is something in who they are. And I found that the more I got into that, the more I realized that raising children was just like planting a garden. I had petunias and I had roses and I had daffodils. I had all different colors and all different types of flowers in my garden. And each one of them needed to be treated differently. You don't prune and water all the plants the same. And that's what kids want. They want it to be listened to. And during this period of time, as you know, I became more aware of my psychic ability and started doing psychic readings and opening up more. And I tell kids, I think I know what you mean by that. No, you couldn't. Yeah, and I tell them, and they go, oh, and that doesn't bother you? No, that's who you are. And so as I started this talk, and as I was talking to myself about doing this talk, I realized that in our move, I had lost one of the most wonderful photographs I've ever had. Mm. And she was one of my regular clients. She was sweet and gentle grandmother. And the photograph showed her standing in her complete army battle with combat boots, complete with helmet, holding an AK-47. And this was a grandma going to Afghanistan.
Wow.
And I thought, now we've got to start re-imaging who grandmothers are. Grandmothers are not gray-haired, holding a rolling pin little lady. Grandmothers are out there doing things. Great-grandmothers are out there doing things. And so our society still thinks, look at all the Mother's Day cards. They're all about the woman in the kitchen or the woman. We have stopped being that woman, not because we feel we can't do it, but because there's so many other things and so many other roles we need to take on. And when you think about being a mother nowadays, it has changed so. And also we have a choice whether or not to be mothers. See, 50 years ago, there wasn't such a choice. I happened to be with the first generation where there was such a thing as the pill. It even wrote songs and everything else about the pill. But that was, you had a decision. And there were so many women who were so delighted to stop at 4 or 5 or 6 kids. So so many people were against that. I'm not going to go into Roe versus Wade because I don't want to get into politics. But just know that everything that women do, we are mothers, and you might not have any children, but you were born with the capacity to have kids. So start looking at, I have the capability of being a mom, whether or not I chose to. And honor that mothering that is within you. The DNA that caused you to have the parts of you that could be mothering. Because I know I had people that would come to my house, which was never real clean. And I had a woman walk into to my house and say, "Oh, your house is kind of a mess." I said, "Oh, you want a clean house? Down the way, they have model homes, and there's a very clean house. Or you can have a house with love.
There you go.
Here, come on in, sit down and have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. This house has love." And she looked at me and she said, "You're right. I kick the kids out every morning, and they have to stay outside all day because I want to keep my house clean."
Oh, wow.
And that, to her, personified mothering, because that's the way she was raised.
Yep.
That's what her mother did with her. And I said, wow, that's just the opposite here. My kids are welcome in the house anytime they want to be. My two boys had learned how to juggle. And they would juggle anything they could get three of, you know. And so when I'd come home from the grocery store, one would stand where the groceries were and the other stand at the refrigerator, and they juggled all of the things, the milk, the eggs, and I'd watch these, and they had so much fun putting groceries away because they could juggle them into the shelves. And I mentioned this to somebody, and they said, "Aren't you scared they might drop something?" I said, "No. This is a way of them getting eye-hand coordination. It's a way to get the groceries in the shelves." But it was that type of thing I found set me away from mothers. Because if you were going to make a mess, well, good, hey, what the heck. So I got so excited about kids that I instigated Kids Day. And we had a Kids Day every middle Sunday in July.
Oh.
And that was Kids Day. And that's when they got their big presents. It wasn't any holiday like Christmas or anything else or birthday. It was Kids Day. And we'd have all the kids in the neighborhood. Well, it got to be such a big event, the Mercury News covered it a couple of times, because it was always, we had Boonstock, which is, good old the rock and roll one. We had a rock and roll band in our front yard. We had county fair. We had Boone Island, and we made a volcano with brown wrapping paper and threw lava popcorn balls out. I mean, Planet Boone was really fun. And every year we'd have some kind of a theme, and everybody'd come dressed up. Annie, you were to one of those. And we had, maybe 50, 75 people. And someone said, "Why are you doing this?" I said, "For the kids." And it was one of those things, they could just be anybody they wanted to. They could be a pirate, they could be a spaceman. But in the middle of summer, when it's not cold like at Halloween, they could do things. And when you think of this, that just raising kids is not difficult. It's when you make it difficult because you don't listen to what the kids feel about being raised. Everybody loves babies. And then when they get to be 12 to out of the house, they all of a sudden become monsters. They didn't change. You did the way you looked at them. So I've been asked to give mothering tips to people, and I have. Because for me, you can solve so much with a hug or a kiss. And I just know that there are children out there needing help. So you might think about, what can I do to help a kid? You can call it mothering or you can call it parenting. I was really delighted to find my granddaughter and her wife have two babies. They're 3 and 5. And they now at preschool, they don't call them the moms, they call them their parents. What a leap forward. You don't have to be male and female to be parents of kids now. You can be the same gender and be parents of the kids. And so Dominic, who is 5 years old and likes the rules, he said, my granddaughter's name is Miranda, and Miranda said such and such, and he said, "You're not my mom anymore, you're a parent." Because he lives by the rules, and she said, "No, I'm your mom." And he was, "Oh, can I still call you parent?" She said, "Yeah, you can still call me parent." So it's a bit of interesting choice. But, mothers come in all sizes. They come in all colors. They come in all socioeconomic groups. They come from everywhere. Everybody in the world has had a mother. And when you find that you go through a period in your life, and I love this, and I have it written down. It's this: the ages and images of mother. 4 years of age, my mommy can do anything. 8 years, my mom knows a lot, a whole lot. 12 years, my mother doesn't really know quite anything. 14 years, naturally, mother doesn't know that either. 16, mother, she's hopelessly old-fashioned. 18 years of age. That old woman, she's way out of date. 25 years. Well, she might know a little bit about it. 35. Before we decide, let's get mom's opinion. 45. Wonder what mom would have thought about it. 85. Wish I could talk it over with mom.
Yeah.
Mom hadn't changed much, but their attitude had. And so many of us think that our children should think of us the same way now as they did when they were 5 years old, 6 years old. No, they don't. They've changed. They've become adults. But they still love you. And love is the greatest thing that we all have. So what I want you to think of that, because we were becoming another type of mother, another type of grandmother, another type of great-grandmother. But our children don't know it unless we let them know. If they say, Mom, you used to, and you just say, I've changed. Mom, you used to tell me it wasn't okay to do X. You go, I've changed. You, as a mother, can change. And they, as a child, as a son or daughter, or binary, or whatever they call themselves, be open to their change. Growth is very difficult these days. And you, as a mother, have to keep up to date. What is going on? So many mothers say, well, that's the way it is. No, it's not. There's different ways it's going to be in the future. So honor your kids and love your kids. And find out, what do they know about who they are? Because sometimes they have no idea that their great-grandfather was important. They have no idea. Take out some pictures and say, this is who your ancestors are. It's amazing when they find out what their ancestors did. Because you are a long line, a long lineage. And make sure that lineage isn't about violence and anger and frustration and some kind of cruelty. Look into your heart when you're dealing with kids, no matter what age. My eldest is now 61. He's getting ready to retire.
Wow.
I think of him as my baby,
Absolutely.
but I can't treat him that way. You know, it's not fair to him and it's not fair to me. And so if you were raised by a father, if you were raised by a mother, if you were raised by, sometimes people are raised by almost corporations. They're groups of people that are together. Figure out how you were raised and see if you can't change it with the way you raise this next generation. Because you were moms, no matter what gender. You were moms because you're parents. Thank you so much.
Oh,
And if you get a chance, look at the pictures up here. And there's some beautiful, beautiful pictures.
yes, there are.
And we're going to pass the basket. Our wonderful Annie passes the basket. And if anybody could possibly help her with the basket, because she's got to get ready to do the closing prayer. And the reason we're quitting a little bit early, because I've got to be in Watsonville by 1 and do standing women. Chris, could you hang this back up? You know where it goes.
Yep.
And Gabrielle, do we have food this Sunday?
Yeah, I'll put it out now. I didn't want to interrupt you speaking.
Oh, that's okay.
quickly.
Oh,
Yes.
Giving to the ministry from which we receive our spiritual support and nurturing is an affirmation and consciousness of the truth that Spirit is the prospering power, enriching every area of our lives.
and so it
And
is.
so it is. Okay, you ready for me?
I am ready for
Are
it.
you sure?
I think so.
Okay, let's
They'll be
hope.
sitting right behind you, okay?
Okay, so I just have to quickly start with a couple of quick stories. Because I had the pleasure of, my mom got a lot of help as I was growing up. And also as an adult, my mom got help because I didn't always get along with her, but that's okay. That's just part of the growth. So I want to give blessings and thanks to my next door neighbor, Ellen Pfeiffer, who became my second mom when I was 7 years old. And she had me start babysitting for her kids when I was 9. So I was known as the neighborhood babysitter for my whole life. And my kid sister and brother, I was the first latchkey kid in my neighborhood. And I raised my kid sister and brother when my mom separated from my dad. When I was an adult and having rough times with my mom, there's this person here that came along. I think her name is Reverend Doti Boon. And she used to call me a month early for my birthday every year, and she'd say, "What are you doing for your birthday?" And I'd say, "I'll let you know next month when it gets here." And we would laugh, and I'd say, "I don't really deserve a birthday," or whatever, and she would say to me, "You're having a rough time with your mom, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Would you like me to be your mom?"
Oh.
And I said yes. And so Dottie had become my surrogate mom when I was in my late 20s. And she helped me with my raising of my son with her beautiful advice and helping me to keep my patience. And I have a wonderful son who's older than my bosses. It's an interesting journey. And then I just have to share the one laugh. When my older brother and I, rest his soul, when we were having a rough time with mom, or we were joking about her because we wanted to get into a better frame of mind, as a social worker, he would say to me, "Now you know how it is. If it isn't one thing, it's your mother." So let's take that joyous laughter and let's breathe that in, close our eyes, and let's hold on to that love, that lightness, that energy that we've created today, and know that we have chosen to be mothers, whether it be, let's hold in our breath, let's release the breath first. Might want to let you breathe. So let's breathe out. And let go of anything. And Joan, thank you for your beautiful opening this morning. Happy Mother's Day to you all. Let's remember that a mom can be an animal mother. A mom can be a man. I have a wonderful friend who's a gay couple, and these two men have adopted 2 children, and they're beautiful. They're raising these children. They're mom and dad in both ways. So I wish them happy Mother's Day and happy Father's Day in both ways. But there's this most amazing mother of all, our Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Because although we celebrate an Earth Day in April, is there really a specific day that's Earth Day? No. Every day is Earth Day. We honor our mothers. We honor our Mother Earth, always. For without that Mother Earth nurturing us, none of us would be here. So as we say, open up and say thank you to the Creator. Dearest Mother, Father, God, dearest Creator, thank you so much for this beautiful day. And thank you for our opportunity to be present here on our Mother Earth, celebrating motherhood in so many different ways. Motherhood by choice, motherhood by caring, motherhood by mentorship, motherhood by being a stepmom, whatever it may be. Thank you, Creator, for giving us this opportunity to share with our friends here in our community, in person, as well as virtually. Thank you for the love and the light that you bring to us, recognizing that we all need nurturing. And so you, Creator, you bring us that nurturing through your loving energies, because you are our Mother, Father, God. We have the mothering energy that's all around us. As you're walking outside, do you feel the sun, holding you? Do you feel the earth and the energies of the earth? We do. Thank you, Creator, for that. Let's go out today and let's go out and create a beautiful week this week for an amazing time and an amazing energy of giving love and caring for others. And standing up for our rights, standing up for who we believe is in power, and that's you, Creator, because you are through each and every one of us. Thank you for expressing through each of us that we can bring that love and that energy. Thank you for our smiles. Thank you for a beautiful day, and happy Mother's Day. In great gratitude, we're just going to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessed be, so it is, and amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.
And so think about that. If somebody comes to you and saying, I'm just really having difficulty with my family.
I'm having difficulty with
Don't say, oh, that's okay. Yeah, everybody does. Say, what's happening? And then don't be judgmental. That is, I think, is the biggest problem we have as people these days. You look at the what's going on politically. You look at it, everything as somebody's judging somebody else. I was talking to a person yesterday, and they say, well, you'll probably hate me, but I haven't gotten vaccinated. I said, well, I have never hated anybody. And that's your choice. I'm not going to say you're right or wrong, but that's your choice. But thank you for telling me. I don't want somebody showing up that hasn't been vaccinated, because I'm a little bit at risk. And he said, you know, that's why I wanted to tell you that. I said, thank you so very much. And when we open up again, I'll certainly let you know, because he was asking about coming to church. And so think about that. When do you stop making people wrong and start accepting them for who they are? It sounds like a very difficult transition for some people. That it's everything's black and white. Trust me, everything is gray. Mm-hmm. Everything is gray. You take black and white and you mix them together and you get gray. And that's where you start looking at it. Gray is not a bad color. I love your gray shirt you're wearing there. And I mean, it's one of those things that when you think of that, I don't have to be, I can be outspoken, but not make everybody wrong. Be outspoken because you feel you're right. There's a big difference. So as you go through today, if you could have time at 1 o'clock to stand up for children, please do it. And you might not be in a group, you might just be yourself. Just stand up. Say, we're here to make sure that children get fresh water, good food, education, all the things that our children need.
and deserve.
And deserve. Thank you so very much. And Gabrielle, you had something to say?
Yay, Dottie!
I like that.
Yeah. I want to thank everyone who has ever mothered me, because, you know, you don't stop being a child of the universe. And so that's one message for me. But I want to tell you that two things. One is on June 14th, Sunday, June 14th, Viva Calle is going to be on the Alameda, which means they're blocking off the Alameda and many streets. And I will be giving Corky the map so you know how to find your way here, because it starts at 10 and I think they block the streets off at 6 a.m. And I don't think anyone wants to get here that early. So we are going to, as part of Viva Calle, have a health and resource fair. Our in-house DJ is going to do disco on the Rainbow Crosswalk. Wow. And if on the, you know, in the parking lot you want to play music, if CCL wants to have a table and do outreach, there'll be lots of people going by. And so I will coordinate with whoever is going to organize that. That's part one. Part two, starting in July, the Alameda Business Association is doing second Saturdays. And what we will be doing is doing outreach, because on second Saturdays, we will be doing drag queen bingo. And, and so when people are flying around having a great time, we will be handing out, doing the outreach about that. It will probably start earlier. We don't know what time, if it'll start at 5 o'clock so that people can get home. And so that's one part thing. And because it's second Saturday, the Billy DeFrank Center will have a table out the front. And CCL is welcome to have a table out the front as well. And if you want to have one table with all of us together, or you can have your own table, it doesn't matter. It is an invitation to be part of second Saturdays. And then stay for bingo.
Okay.
Yay.
Isn't second Saturday going to be this coming Saturday too?
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, but we're not involved. I mean, you can be, but yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's what this.
I know, they have, but we're starting in July.
Okay, so cleared that up. Thank you so very much. Thank you all for coming. If you haven't done so, call your mother. If your mother is no longer in spirit, if she's in spirit, talk to her. Okay? And
I have hummingbirds visiting me this week, so I know Mom was around.
And when we say talk to them, and as part of a metaphysical church, don't just talk. Take a moment to listen. You'll be surprised what you hear. And like Annie was saying, she gets butterflies. From me, I hear a song. And so you know that there's something there when you can actually feel, hear, or see an energy after you make a call. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maria and Corky. Thank you for putting us on. Do we have people on Zoom?
Yeah. Joyce says, beautiful Annie, thank you. Happy Mother's Day to all. Thank you for the great service. Glenn and Chinley said thank you for such a loving Mother's Day message. Joyce said, such a gift Dottie has given to us. Beautiful, thank you. Incredible teaching, Dottie. Thank you, and thank you for sharing your big caring heart with so many.
Yay.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you, Joyce.
we have Chinley and Glenn and Joyce and Patty and Laura O and Martha, Sky, Tricia was on. So
Excellent.
yeah, we had 9 people all together.
Yay, recipe.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yay.
And the food is out on the table. Please take some food.